names that we've witnessed them squaring off against in recent times on the stream. And we kick off straight away with Thomas and Luzza both picking up a frag apiece. Going to be starting off on the T side. So this is not a bad way to kick things off. T side does have a habit of playing, or Inferno, sorry, does have a habit of playing T side during the early stages as Mighty Mac's able to take quick from over towards the car area. Cheeky is most likely going to catch a guy from behind as well. That's Boomball who goes down, leaving Waterfall last man standing, and down he goes. Endpoint put the first round on the board. So QB Fire so far 2 and zip their score. Endpoint 1 for 1. It's a chance to bring themselves level on the scoreboard. See the 4-man stack over towards B. One player looks like he's going to make his way up Banana. Often you'll send 1 or 2 players down Banana to try and draw the T's into thinking that the site is going to be clear. And the first thing you tend to think, but then again, it's such a common play these days that maybe you want to hang back on that. It's going to be interesting to see from Endpoint side of things on Inferno when we get onto the CT side. In the times I've watched them recently, I've been fairly critical of the way that they have set up, particularly over towards Banana on CT side. We'll see if that's changed, or if they're continuing with the same setup, and whether that causes them any problems or not, as we see them setting up for an A execute. Smoke through to make sure that there are no players coming in from Speedway and catching them off guard. Often if there's no real action towards B, or one of the B players, sorry, can walk in towards the Speedway area and just sit arch so they can quick rotate onto the A site. Like Sheiky just had a bit of information on players making their way down towards the T steps area. Waterfall goes down in the meantime to Thomas's AK. 2 second-round AK buys coming in from the Endpoint boys, and a number of times that I've seen that unstick a team. That much firepower early game can work wonders. As shown by Thomas, he finds the face of JMQA over towards the T steps. Still 2 more players left to find, going to save what they can. Armor upgraded pistols, that's 12 to 1500 bucks to keep, and Balbina doing some nice damage to Pulse, taking him out of the equation. That's one of his weapons dropped. He'll have to rebuy, but they do keep both of their AKs through into this 3rd round, and good early play from Team Endpoint here. The QB Fire have some pedigree. See on Balbina at the moment, quarter-finalist at E-League Major in Boston. These guys have performed supremely well in recent times. Also showing some real stability as well. This lineup hasn't shifted around for a while, and that's unusual. See, the Endpoint lineup is always seems to be in a state of flux to a point. Players dropping in here and there. But to their credit, more often than not, where I watch them play, they do end up picking up the win one way or another. So it would be very nice to see that from the boys today. So QB Fire not doing anything too aggressive at this stage. They're going for a stack. This could get unstuck, and it hasn't actually, as Boomball's able to pick up Thomas, and then both of them get out of dodge before there's any opportunity to refrag. Waterfall taken down to 20 points of health, so they tried, but it's a difficult situation. You don't want to get drawn in too much and taken down one at a time from that position. So they've played that well and brought things into their favour. Still don't have the firepower, so if Endpoint want to hit somewhere en masse, then there's a good chance they'll still be able to pick up some frags. But with 25 seconds left to go on the clock, they haven't got that much time to work with. They need to make this execute work. That's going to help with Pulse getting one. They've got another player down to 20 points of health. That's Waterfall on the site. So down he goes. Plant going to come in with 15 seconds, sorry, left to go in the round as they look to pick up their third possible round. JMQ8 recovers himself an up, which is going to be 200% kill bonus if he does pick up any frags. A little bit of banter from the boys. Never seen that boost before. Yeah, exactly the same from me, but quite an effective little position that he took up there. Gives you that angle into second mid that you wouldn't normally expect. Mike Max drops a flash into library and takes Balbina out of there instantly. Nice work from him. 4v2, bomb planted, and oh, Luzza, he's on point, taken down quick as well from the T steps area. Luzza normally Team Orpa, but shows that he's adept with an AK in hand as well. And it is then Endpoint going into a 3-0 advantage early doors. Fairly full buy coming in from QB Fire. Balbina keeping hold of that ump that he grabbed last time. Thomas on the Endpoint side and Mighty Max both keeping hold of their SMGs. SMGs, situational weapons, but they have their uses. Waterfall, he takes Mighty Max as he steps up from mid. Pulse maybe just a split second too late to get our balcony, but he is able to do some damage to one player onto short before picking up the frag. Luzza in the meantime caught with a nice little Kobe. 3v2 in favour of Endpoint. They pick this one up. It's going to force QB Fire back onto an eco, so they'll be looking to think about saving these weapons, I would suggest. Next, the plan is to try and do economic damage. And be thinking that they can't get a proper buy next time out, and down goes JMQ8. Quick last man standing, looking for exits. Probably not going to get one. Pulse sitting in the corner will be able to just about survive. You get right in at that corner and you've got full HP, you can get away with that spot. It's going to be Endpoint taking a 4-0 lead. What a way to start, and maybe on paper you wouldn't have expected things to kick off in quite this manner, but you never know. That's the thing with best of one, is you can catch a team cold. For whatever reason, they haven't had time to warm up, or it just doesn't quite happen for you. And so much of Counter-Strike, it's momentum. You've got the money side of things, the economy, which can cause you issues if you don't get on top of that. And you can find yourselves never really getting that full spend together if you can't get a bunch of rounds together. I mean, even if you've got the rifle that you want and the armor that you want, if you haven't got the utility, it maybe doesn't give you the options to get into the site. But we could be in a bit of trouble, sorry. He's got players swarming in from two directions on him over towards the apartments. Going for a cheeky little wiggle peek. Maybe going to have this opportunity for Pulse to reload. He maybe could have gone there, but it hasn't happened. And QB Fire are just being annoying as of right now in the apartments. Making noise, showing themselves, but Mighty Max and Thomas do some righteous work over towards Banana, taking down Quick and JMQA, so that's going to open up the site for them to attack. Shiki now gets the opportunity to push mid, and down goes Waterfalls. And Boomball, I see why he didn't push now. He had the Zeus in hand, was going to try and do some damage with that. Oh, effective range of the Zeus. Well, you've got to stick it up the guy's left nostril to be able to pick up a frag with it, so that's why he didn't go and engage and waited for Pulse to come in for him, and it didn't pan out. So clean-up effort from the final two players in mid. Good work from these guys. And one thing that Endpoint are pretty adept at, even when the players that we witness shift around a little bit, is they are generally pretty good at picking up those refrags. Something which at the level that I play out, is quite rare, to say the least. In team play, question mark. I think that is the difference. Smoke comes in from the CTs towards the top and mid. Is Endpoint going to look to try and open up to a 6-0 lead? Double AWP spend from the CTs, and as you can see from their finances, that was a little expensive. Even more surprising is the number of frags that they've picked up so far. Endpoint have been beyond dominant during these very early stages. 2 players over towards the arch side, and they're now going to potentially think about getting on their bike over towards B. Endpoint not really committing at this stage. 50 seconds left to go on the clock, so they have enough time to work, but need to be wary that they don't hang around too long as Luzza makes the opening gambit over towards the arch side. Still a second player over in that direction. Balbina from the pit is going to try and get his utility in the air and slow things down as much as possible. 4 players still left on the CT side, so they can put together a nice retake if they need to. And Endpoint, 20 seconds left to go. This is going to put pressure on their B execute. Now, 1 player there, he's going to be sitting in the smoke. There's JMQA, I think, and he's actually up on boost. He gets 1, but he's taken out instantly. The trouble with the boost, a couple of issues with it. 1, the best you're going to get is 1 frag before your position is going to get called and then you get dealt with. And second of all, once you've used it once, its effectiveness is practically gone for the remainder of the game. And pretty much become someone's job to check boost every time you round that corner. As long as you've got the numbers up to be able to do it, that is. It is going to be Endpoint taking a 6-0 lead on their Inferno T side. They'll look at the frags, or lack thereof. Balbina top of the shop with 2 frags to his name. Quick yet to get off the board. And as we'll see when the bomb explodes, looking at their finances, they could try and force something. But with the way things panning out the way they are, I personally wouldn't want to do that. Go for a full eco or spend down to about 3k so you know you've got a full buy next time out. And make sure you've got your full utility. But they are going for it. It's fair enough that they are committing back into this as best they can. And it's actually decent buys all round, aside from the MP9 in the hands of Balbina. The end of the world for them, actually. They try and get something going towards the arch side. That fire has caused problems. It's split the Endpoint side in half, and perhaps a little lucky that no one got taken out in that situation. That's given them the extra impetus to start working towards A. He pretty much had to start committing. Quick though, he could cause some problems. 2 players towards the top of mid. Mike Max gets 1 before Luzza. He goes and trades out straight away. Back to a 4 versus 4. If anything though, that trade does still benefit Endpoint. You would rather be short a man on T side than you would be on CT. It just makes it more difficult to cover the angles. Waterfall and Thomas. Thomas is going to show the patience, and is he going to pick up the frag? Yes, he does, at the second time of asking. In the meantime, Boomble on the site gets taken down. He gets 1, but he's traded out instantly, and Thomas is causing right problems in the lurk roll. He got himself out towards... I think what pretty much happened to Thomas is he got himself stuck in this position, had to push because of the Molotov that got dropped at the top of mid. 2 players came this way into Arch, while the others hung back in mid. Pause coming in. This is almost definitely going to be a tactical. And because they took their time and the QB5 players dropped back and played super passive, fell out of Arch, that sort of thing, it just allowed Endpoint to hold that control there and just keep top of mid. They're able to deal with the rotate from behind. And all in all, pretty good stuff coming in from TM. 7 to zip. QB4 again faced with that same decision of, do we force or do we just wait for a full buy next time around? So they're going for option number 2, going for the eco. Upgraded pistols. buy down to 2 to 3k, depending on what you need to get next time out. So Thomas then, and what a game Thomas has been having so far. I think that's his 12th frag that he's put on. Let me just check that. There's 12-1, Thomas. Playing the lurk roll, to perfection. Quick with a nice 1D. I think that opens his account. Pulse walking through apartments, going to try and get Balbina. Does get Balbina as he steps out into the open. Nice AK control from him in close quarters. He did have a huge weapon advantage, though. Pulse going to have a second play on Waterfall, who doesn't even look in his direction, walking through. I think Pulse might have got some kind of footstep noise, and Shiki gets the remaining man. That's quick on the site. 8 to zip it is for Team Endpoint. Runaway performance for them. Thomas 12-2, Luzza 9-1, Shiki yet to die 4-0 for him, with the 3 MVP stars to his name as well. This is a huge performance coming in from Team Endpoint. I think, I said earlier, when you look at this on paper, you would expect that this is going to be a very difficult game indeed for Team Endpoint to be squaring off against. And that doesn't mean that it's not going to go that way as we get into the later stages of this game. Not even a third of the way through up to this point. But this is a little unexpected as Balbina gets a frag on Shiki. That's the bomb dropped in the apartments. First death for Shiki, and they're going to try and get the trade frag. Our QB fire hasn't panned out, actually. It looks like everyone's going to escape with their lives just about. Pulse down to 22 points of health. 2 players from the QB fire side who are also tagged down. QB Fire going for a more passive approach over towards A, as Pulse able to get quick just below the boost spot where they used last time. See what I said about that? If you put someone in boost, there's going to be a guy looking in that direction as the plant comes down. Endpoint going to try and continue this unbeaten run. 4-4, bomb planted, and this is a little difficult. That smoke means that any players coming in from CT, there's not much they can do at that point. Allows Endpoint to sit out and look for the other angles like Banana. Try and be aggressive and get the picks. Now, though, as time ticks away, it's going to draw the players in. Balbina with a nice use of the boost finds 2 players from there. Mighty Max and Luzza going to do what they can. Mighty Max has got to play on 2 potential players. They're both actually up on Banana, so this is going to be dangerous. They need to think about getting some angles. Luzza gets one before he's traded out. Mighty Max gets pushed by the remaining players, but they have done enough. Both of the QB Fire guys go down, and it is going to be 9 to zip. I was a little worried about Endpoint having 2 players dropped off the site towards Banana, but they were able to do just enough and delay it long enough. So nice work from Luzza and from Mighty Max. I think Luzza might have actually picked up a frag on the guy going for the defuse, so drew the 2 remaining players off the site straight away, looking for those frags that they needed. Endpoint find themselves in a barnstorming position. JMQA gets tagged. Takes an AWP through the wall to the leg, I think that might have been. Brings him down to 60. That nade's going to do some serious damage as well, and then Thomas cleans up. Nice assist from Shiki, who lit up JMQA. Couple of opportunities, or a couple of times, I think. Endpoint back in the ascendancy against this scrub by upgraded pistols. Getting 2 players, 3 players actually over towards the booth. Shiki with the spray down gets 1, make that 2. Player coming in, that's quick, over towards the garden as Shiki gets his 3rd of the round. It's maybe going to be gutted that he didn't get that frag on JMQA because he's on for a 5k. Luzza, though, grabs that final frag on Balbina, jumping up on the oranges, and 10-0 is Team Endpoint's lead. Wow. Now Inferno is one of those maps where it's tough to call. It can play either way. I've seen a number of times when teams on CT, they just can't get their play right. And Seaside can run away with it, but it is possible to lock things down on this map as well. It's quite reliant on your CT setup being cohesive, i.e. towards the mid. You need to have either both players facing mid and setting up the crossfire, or you need both to be sitting back on the site. If you go one and the other, then it's too easy for the one player up mid to get taken out and to then pin his remaining two teammates on the site. So you need to be together on that. And QB5, to be fair to them, they are being fairly passive over towards the A site. Not getting picked off with any silly pushes as such, but Endpoint's executions have been superlative going forward. Cheeky tries to spam up towards Banana. QB5 getting the opening gambit in this 11th round, so it's one of the few opportunities where they have been in the driving seat. Let's see what Endpoint have got. They will still have the numbers advantage when they execute. Going to be 2/3 players on the site rather than the 4 on-rushing guys. Waterfall's going to perhaps give away his position in library with that nade, which does a little bit of damage, but maybe not as much as you'd like, as Pulse looking out towards balcony. He's going to be probably the first to engage towards the pit side. Molotov goes in. QB5 trying to play passive and defensive on the side. Pulse gets one before Balbina trades out Mighty Max. Balbina gets a second before he's caught. Do they know that Boomball's on the site? They do now. Pulse isn't able to pick up the frag. Blanc comes in and Thomas is caught in the end. No heroics from him, despite his very impressive 14-5 score at this stage. And QB5, they put their first round on the board on CT side. They do have to be aware of the reset, though. Nice work from Endpoint, forcing several rebuys. You can see if they do get reset at this stage, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to put a buy together next time out. And with only 4 rounds left to go in the half, you cannot afford at this stage to walk yourself into a reset. But quick, he goes and tries to get aggressive up towards Banana. JMQA goes down, tries to do what he can, but knows that in such a vital round, that wasn't a position that he wanted to find themselves in. And you do have to question why you would go and be as aggressive as Quick was in that situation. If you're going to stick with an AWP car, the worst case scenario, or the best case scenario for you as the guy facing, is that you're going to have 2 players at Banana. You tend to work that in tandem. And on occasions, and I had this playing last night in a game, is we're feeling confident and we were doing a lot better on our CT side than QB5 were, to be completely fair, but I stepped towards Cart with the AWP in hand, had 4 players looking in my direction with AKs, and that was all she wrote in that position. So it's very, very difficult to get yourself there. Even if you get yourself there first, you've got to get yourself behind the wood, peek, and try and pick up a frag. No, it's difficult. If the momentum's in your favour on CT side, then by all means, crack on and go for it. But when you're not getting the rub of the green like QB5 aren't in this game, not the way to play. They were able to recover 3 weapons out of that, so damage limitation. Shiki taken down to 12 points of health. That could be a Kobe, and it is a Kobe. Quick doing all the hard work from there. 1 player up on the boost, and he is spotted, but it is possible to spray through that smoke and deal with the player. Quick actually goes down before he gets his second frag. JMQA gets halted momentarily by that Molotov that gets dropped in the garden. Bomb plant not quite in at this stage. Do they have it in hand? Yes, Max does have it in hand. He's maybe going to be looking for a frag before he goes for that. Gets one on Balbina. Does he know that JMQA is in the ruins? think he may have an inkling. Luzzer gets waterfall as well, and Max just needs to be patient. You've still got 45 seconds left to go. Often when that second frag comes in, the temptation is to sprint to site and throw that plant down. But I like the way that they're working this, being systematic, clearing angles, working together as a pair. And can they get this frag up Banana? Luzzer, okay, so he's got one. 30 seconds left to go with the bomb in hand. He's got time to foot slap his way towards B. JMQA is moving slowly in the direction of Banana, so he now gets the idea. Luzzer going to get the plant down. Now it's down to him to choose his position. Needs to beware nades, needs to beware Molotovs as well. JMQA could cause him real problems, it looks like. We're going to have a right 1v1 battle. Luzzer was looking in the direction of where JMQA was coming from. He's now moved. Has he got cover from the boxes? No, he hasn't. And JMQA is going to pick up that round. So, despite being reset, QB Fire saving 3 weapons were able to keep the firepower that they needed. And they've put their second round on the board, 11-2. But that was tense. That was a close one for him. So you see, fully committed now, fully spent into this. 4 players having a rebuy. Endpoint looking to get themselves out of sight. Booble could be in trouble, is in trouble. Walking through into the apartments. Balbina going to try and get in and get aggressive, but he's going to have 2 players with high-powered AK-47s to deal with if he wants to try it. So a bit of a gutsy play if you do want to try. And I can kind of see the argument of, yeah, maybe it will shift up the momentum if I go and push through with this ump and pick up 2-3 frags in apartments. Yeah, but what's the trade-off? With 4 players with decent weapons, you might be able to retake a site with that. 3 against 5, little more difficult. And for a start, it pretty much blows the A site wide open. Endpoint would be able to push in, get themselves to site without any real resistance. Sheikah going to think he'll join his teammates' apartments. Been said he's going to throw some helpful utility in the direction of mid. QB Fire reverting the type. The passive approach. Pulse gets one. Thomas tries to get the trade. Doesn't come actually in Shiki. He's able to pick up a frag. Do they know about where the last guy is? Waterfall, no. He's able to pick up another on the site. Leaving Luzzer. He's got a man right around him. He's going to get that bomb plant down. More money in the bank. Defuse comes in. QB5 starting to put things together now a little more on their CT side. This is much more like it from them. They are going with what they know works, which is dropping back and being passive and absorbing the pressure onto the site. And it worked a lot better that time around. Pulse had to spin around and deal with the guy that was close on balcony. Actually opened up the angle for Thomas to come out and make a frag on the player on the site, but he wasn't able to continue his great form of fragging like we saw in this first half. At that particular opportunity, he could have cut the site open like a tin of beans, but it wasn't meant to be. And QB Fire looking to put a half respectable score on the board after what was a disastrous opening third to this contest. Mike Max gets a frag on Balbina, brings it back to 4 versus 4, and then Shiki catches Quick. And it's more than one occasion where Quick has been caught maybe a little out of position, maybe being a little too pushy. JMQA gets a frag on Shiki, though, brings it back to a 3v3, and Waterfall is going to be getting on his bike to come over and try and cover towards Banana. I think Endpoint now quite wisely deciding that they want to step back, have a rethink, use the time wisely. Yeah, 3 players working as a unit. 35 seconds left to go. Waterfall is going to be looking towards the art side. Gets one. Can he get the second? Yes, he can. Lazar steps out, and he is at the 3rd opportunity to try and get a refrag. Boomball on the site. I think 2 or 3 missed opportunities from Endpoint to really turn the screw out of those last few rounds that we witnessed. Put themselves in the driving seat on more than one occasion, but QB5 were able to carry that through. And it's rounds like that that you can look back on and regret if you're not careful during the later stages. So Endpoint going to want to make amends for that as quickly as they can by winning this pistol round. And if they're able to do that, it makes it very, very difficult. Thomas, though, taking down the 6 points of health, catches 2 nades and potentially a flying bullet from the spud gun that is the Glock. It's raining down bullets. Mighty Max, though, shows that the one tap is mightier than the stream of bullets as he gets 3 with his USP, in the pit. Crisp one taps are plenty. So to make a play to grab the bomb that has been dropped. Boomball and JMQA working together as a pair. If they're able to pick this one up, maybe they should consider playing some PUBG duos together. JMQA gets Sheiky as well, who is spamming around. Need to be clinical in situations like this as the bomb now recovered. Lazar last man standing, 2 players. 2 bullets to the dome is all he needs. So we've got a real Mexican standoff at this point. QB5 perhaps expecting that the push is going to come in. Lazar's actually crossed. Would have been better off sitting in the position he was at next to Library. He would have given him a better angle, perhaps to pick these 2 off. Goes for a 1 tap. Pros never fake. Lazar hasn't seen the guy below him, actually. With the benefit of X-ray, I think without it, I might have seen that guy there anyway, but and nothing quite came of it. And that's probably 3-4 rounds that we've seen now in quick succession from Endpoint where they could have picked it up, probably should have picked it up, and have whiffed on the opportunity, which is a little disappointing. See a number of close Endpoint encounters on Inferno. I think 2 or 3 16-14s. So they're setting themselves up the right way to make this a little more difficult than it looked maybe 10 minutes ago. Come on, boys, just got to hold it together. Smoke coming into mid. So they're playing it slightly differently. Haven't really got a crossfire as such. I'm playing slightly more aggressive. Got Thomas outside the arch. Loves to try spam with the Deagle. Does damage to Quick. Brings him down to half HP. I think Tom's going to try and catch them in from behind if he can. Max's position is in jeopardy in the pit. Gets a headshot on JMQA. Takes him down to 16 points of health. But you need 100 to get a kill in this game. 3 Endpoint players left. This stage is going to keep hold of their armor and their CZs. Pulse without the armor, maybe would have been more tempted to go for it. So perhaps banking on a bit of hunger from QB Fire. And it has panned out. Thomas got 2 frags. JMQA on such low HP was also at risk, but nice work from Team Endpoint, grabbing themselves a couple of weapons out of that. And it is then 11-6. QB5 players looking to put some frags on the board now, and that's going to be a relief for them. Thomas slowing up a little, 16 and 10 for him now. JMQA does take down Pulse. They try and go for the BXQ. Sheiky steps out alone. Not sure if that was part of the plan to just try and draw the push in. But maybe it would be better if Luz has stepped at the same time. Or the Coffins player stepped at the same time. I think Luz is going to get more than a frag, maybe two, from this boost spot before he'll get thrown out. Actually, they look for it straight away, trying to use their own play against them. Thomas gets two through the smoke, 35 seconds left to go, so maybe they can slow up just enough to make this tense for QB Fire. Potential collateral, but Balbina's able to come up with the frag on Thomas in the end. Chance to have maybe sprayed down two of them. Max go do what damage you can. So here we go then, first buy versus buy. Double setup coming in from Endpoint. It's going to be Luzza towards mid, Pulse towards Banana. Pulse gets the opening gambit on Waterfall, who goes for a maybe slightly aggressive peek. Luzza gets one as well on Boomball as two players step out from second mid. Luzza maybe go get the chance of a third if Quick wants to try his luck. Smokes the crossover. So Luzza now realising he hasn't got the best of angles. He's going to drop back from there. Endpoint looking to hammer home this advantage though. First buy versus buy the second half. 3v5, so numbers already in their favour. Sitting back in their passive set. JMQA with the AWP. It's going to be relatively ineffective really, the AWP. There'll be times when you might be able to pick up a frag, but the lack of mobility that that weapon has can make it a little difficult at times. Luzza, though, he's able to step out, gets two frags on JMQA and Balbina. Really nice work from him towards Mini Pit, and that is the first buy v buy going in their favour. So, a couple of frags that are set up, one from Pulse, one from Luzza, both with AWPs, both peaking angles in a slightly aggressive fashion, shall we say, over towards the A and B side, which isn't particularly favourable for me. This is something that I picked up from Endpoint that they do. I mean, when it works out like that, absolutely fine, but it's not a high percentage play. And that's what worries me about it. Now, if you've got a game that's so finely poised, which this one has turned out to be from that little resurgence from QB Fire, then you perhaps want to go for lower risk, high reward setups. Such as two players watching the top of mid, setting up a crossfire. Or playing passive back onto the site. Same applies for A and B actually. Here they are, now going back to that setup that worked so well last time out, enabled them to lock it down. Dropping back, giving control of top of mid to the T's. Now with the utility flying in, I think we'll start to see those blue dots over towards the A site move a little closer back towards the top of mid as Quick, able to get Sheiky spamming through, as expecting that the player might have been there, and he gets lucky. I think something that I've learned over the last 6 months or so is spray through smoke. Super, super effective way of picking up ranks. Mighty Max, he does a little bit of damage. No, he doesn't actually. That flash completely whites the player out of balcony. I think he was actually trying to do that to the 3 players pushing in from quad, but gets a rather unexpected result out of that. Didn't work in the end, getting any more frags though from the 3 players that entered quad en masse. The Endpoint players already over towards the B site, going for a full save. See what we can get. So Mighty Max can force something together. One of the remaining 3 Endpoint players can drop a weapon in the direction of Sheiky. That's into full spend into this one. QB4 again, if they lose this, they can full spend into the next round. So neither team taking full control, really, of this second half at this stage. JMQA catches a nade perfectly. He's down to half health. Taking down to 29 as well with the fire, as we see Pulse stepping through, pot-shotting through smoke. Here's one player that's waterfall down towards the bottom. He's got the AWP in hand. Actually looking towards, and there's 3 players that got themselves in through arch side. That's the kind of thing you don't see unless you're playing Golden over 3. Real surprise to say the least. And Jan QA setting himself up towards the bottom of Banana. Might be able to catch 3 players on a fast rotate if he gets this position right. Jam QA gets 1 frag on Mighty Max. Thomas and Luz are going to have to save these. Unbelievable stuff. And this is the problem. I'm going to take us over towards the site over here. It is possible to do that. Because if you are... Oh, that's too far. That's too far. This is shocking. So it's possible. If you're sitting back towards the site, over towards pit, graveyard, sitting on the site, maybe towards library or that sort of thing, it is completely open here for players to come and just sprint through top of mid and then into arch. And you probably don't notice until it's too late, because often you'll think, okay, action mid, you can call the flashes and the like, and then it will go quiet. And you think, have they got players stacking up towards the top? You don't want to go and face and have a little peek here, just in case you've got 3 or 4 players up towards the top of mid waiting to decide what they want to do and where they want to execute. And the time that you find out that they've pushed through all the way through arch and wrapped into B is the time when one of your B-side teammates is getting nailed in the back. Pulse gets 1 before he's caught in a 3-way crossfire between QB Fire players. 4v4. M4 AWP and a couple of upgraded pistols for the Endpoint side against a full spend for QB Fire. Flashes plenty as they set themselves up for a push onto B. One player still lurking over towards A. That's Boomball. He could get himself in a bit of trouble potentially if he steps at the wrong time. Max actually does get the number on him. He's going to get himself an M4 out of that as well. He's also going to have info on players pouring into a 4v3. This is a winnable situation. 3 good weapons against 3. Chance for Shiki to grab something on the way as well. Or from a fallen comrade. As time goes on. They're not going to go for it? It's a little baffling, that. And I just can't see why in that situation they wouldn't have gone for it. Especially with Max up in the apartments. His position will have been known, but QB5 had to hightail it so quickly into the site that he probably could have pushed out into the balcony and caught someone unawares. It just... Yeah, I'm completely unsure as to why they haven't gone for that play. I guess looking at the money, if they had lost it, they wouldn't be able to rebuy this time. And I'm thinking let's go for a full spend this time out. But still, it's, I think, a calculated risk that they could have gone for. Balbina steps into fire. So the chicken felt it a lot more than he did, though. Only loses 19 points of health out of that. As with the AWP gets Balbina as he pushes through. Waterfall trades plenty coming down over towards the A site. JMQA able to get the plant down. The Waterfall comes in and backs up straight away. Pulse then against 2. Needs to go huge here. The gamble didn't pay off. Pulse completely white. Spamming into the pit. Does get information on JMQA with the tracer fire. Pre-firing angles. Hasn't really got enough firepower left. Not enough bullets in the tank. Down goes Pulse and QB5 brings it back. 12-11. Now look at the scoreboard. Endpoint full spending into this one. Decent amount of weaponry and utility, etc. A couple of players with that head armor, but against AKs it's one-shot headshot. So by no means the end of the world. Setting up the crossfire top and mid. Cheeky Impulse getting flashed away from Banana. And Pulse playing from the wall. That's one of the things I don't like about the Endpoint setup sometimes. I don't see what gains you get by playing up close like that. You might get a frag, maybe 2, but all's going to happen is you'll get traded out. It completely opens up the B site. You have to send a guy rotating out towards towards you to help out, or you have to pull them from the position that they're in so they can sit, say, arch speedway, so they can fast rotate to both. Now, you'd rather have your crossfires set up. Everyone knowing what utility you have to throw where if the push does come. Gives you the best chance to deal with it. Flashes, etc. on their way in. Thomas is going to get himself in. Cheeky sitting in fire, had to do something. Thomas gets Boomball down to 7 points of health. Can he finish it off? Yes, he can. JMQA comes in. 11 HP in a dream. 2 Endpoint players left to find. Luz is going to try and get himself in pretty quick. That fire's going to stop him from moving, but just wait for the angle. And the angle does present itself. Orb kill, very much an overkill, but the defuse does come in. Endpoint then, how many rounds have they lost on the spin before this? 4. 3 weapons need rebuying. So if there's ever a time to avoid the reset, hate situations like this when you're staring down the barrel of a potential reset if you don't pick up the next round and it's so close. They lose this one, it's going to be 13-12. Forces you onto a full eco, possibly a double eco. 13-13 or even 14-13 against before you get to your next buy v buy. And with your economy by no means set, if you don't pick that one up, you could almost call it game over. So I think I'm calling in now the winner of this round could wind up winning the contest. This is not the moment to go and make yourself a brew. So QB Fire get themselves towards top of mid. Luzzer. This could be costly, or it could be huge. I think more costly than anything else. One before you get traded out. And he saw when he peaked that, how many players he was looking at. What kind of pressure is going to be coming mid. And you would, out of that situation, take your kill. And if you escape your life out of it the first time as well, you would be very, very pleased with yourself. Thomas steps out from the go spot, takes the player down to 12 points of health, but he doesn't get the frag. And Endpoint, from such a strong start, they're doing their best to throw this thing away. B-side completely unprotected. Shiki trying to push through and get position. Pulse drops the bomber. JMQA. Mighty Max doing work on Waterfall, so he was going to be the... he's the lurk actually over towards the A site. Endpoint win the round. The timer ticks away, and that was huge, huge play. Mighty Max, that's not the first time he's caught a lurk over towards the A site. And again, from QB4, I don't know why they're sending that player or leaving them there. They're not adding anything. If you take Mighty Max out in that position with the way the time is, it doesn't matter. You need to be able to get yourself into the site and get a plant. And you want all the manpower that you can to be able to deal with it, you know. Worst case, you have 1 plant and 2 just charging at pulse, meaning that even if you don't get the kill on him, you flush him out of there, give you time to get the plant down. I mean, he's got to readjust, and you know, from that point, you can get yourself set to hold off the site as best you like before Mighty Max can get anywhere near you. Endpoint trying to gift the game. I was looking like they wanted to wrap it up in a nice little package, sorry, for QB5 to take it back, and they have thrown it right back in Endpoint's faces and said, no, here you go, you have a round. Luzzer and Pulse, though. Neither of them on either side can resist the opportunity to take a pick. Small issue with that, you're on CT side. They have to come to you and get a bomb plant. Quick wins the spray down battle with Mighty Max. Thomas gets one. Got players rushing all around him. Can he stop the plant? No, he can't. Can't stop Boomwolf from coming in from behind as well. Shiki gets JMQA. Playing the lurk roll this time over towards the B site. He's going to get himself an AK. Probably just hold that and wait for exits. Endpoint, you see, had to fully commit into this round once again. And Quick takes Shiki and the AK that he was able to bring forward. 14-12, Endpoint on a full eco. And for CZ's actually waterfall. Thinking towards the top of mid. My Max, don't do it. You can see that priming up on X-Ray. He's going to try and peek mid with a CZ against an AWP. There's Brave and there's Suicidal. That was definitely the second option. Fire ready for an execute. Shiki trades out JMQA, whose main role in these last couple of rounds is to go to the opposite site to where the rest of his teammates are and just cause issues, and seems to be working fairly well. Quick over to get Mighty Max, who's doing some damage, but nothing more than that, and Thomas gets one. Could have been so much more, but he isn't able to flick to any more faces of those on-rushing three players. And Shiki again going to have another stab at keeping hold of this weapon that he's scavenged in this round. So I'm going into T-spawn. CT spawn, so, no, T-spawn, wow. Not like I've played this game for 10 years or anything. It's a longer distance to try and cover if anyone wants to try and hunt him down. (14-13). Endpoint keep their slender lead. Maybe going to be tempted to force into this with the M4 that they've got. Molotov from JMQA towards the top of Banana. Quick boost up into the balcony. Going to stick with JMQA. See how he's working this little role that he's got. He's got a man for support, actually waterfall, and he's using the smoke as great cover to walk all the way through. Luz is coming on the rotate. And Thomas, I don't know what he saw, but he saw something. Oh, he's coming from behind, actually. They've gone and stacked B. It's a huge overcommitment. Max is going to be hearing footsteps and no doubt calling that it's going to be an A play. So they're going for a full retake. Max is going to delay and do what he can. Balbina, though, gets one. Wrapping round from our side, and this hasn't worked. Endpoint, this hasn't worked. And I'm surprised they've gone for this in the manner that they have as well, because it's the same thing every time. JMQA is either working on his own or in partnership with one other guy over towards the Banana side. They do what they can, and then the push comes into A. So I don't know why there are two Endpoint players deciding to rotate in towards B when there's very little information coming in that that's where the push is going to come from. Questionable to say the least, as 14-14 it becomes on the scoreboard. Momentum going fully with QB Fire now. So they're going to look to hammer this thing home. Endpoint full spend into this. If they don't win this, they are going to have naff all equipment to try and push it into a draw. QB Fire, if they lose this, they can afford to spend fully. So they look to commit going forward. Both these players getting up close and personal, but Pulse, he peaks. And Shiki is not close enough to him to be able to get that trade. QB Fire can smell blood in the water now. They will look to make that pay. Looking to commit quite firmly now towards this B push. Shiki dropping out. He's got a teammate for company looking to join him. Max spamming through to try and do what he can. He's not quite got his angles right at this stage. He's tried to calculate the Pythagoras and he's not quite got him right. Maybe he forgot to carry the one. So Endpoint's 2 players from A come towards B. That's right, the UK side looking to clutch defeat from the jaws of victory. Thomas, though, he gets 2, so he makes his way in, continuing to add frags to his tally. Luzza uses the tracer fire to catch a guy from the smoker. The defuse, is it going to come in? Yes, it is. Endpoint 15 to 14. What a well-executed retake, and what a time for that to happen. The spoils of war get thrown around. They're going to have full utility, full armor, full weapons, full everything. But so are QB Fire as we get into what could be the final round of this best-of-1 contest. I wasn't expecting it to be this close. And I also wasn't expecting Endpoint to be in a position to win this thing. Should have made it much more comfortable than they did, if they do indeed bring it home. At Luzza and Pulse, talking to you two specifically, don't do anything silly, please. Don't be too aggressive on this. It's important to remember that they need to come to you, and Pulse opens his account on Waterfall. Very, very dangerous AWPer on the QB Fire side, and he is down. Numbers favouring Endpoint. Chance then to bring this thing home. Am I going to witness another super edgy 16-14 Endpoint victory on Inferno? I think that could be. Balbina, though, he takes down Luzza, and that's given them access to Library. As they can try and wrap towards the back of B if they did, which was so devastating last time they tried it. Instead, they're taking control of Library. Boomball gets Mighty Max. Thomas gets 1 before he's traded out. 2v3 it is. QB Fire looking for the draw. Pulse and Shiki looking to bring this thing home at the death. They're outnumbered and outgunned. Shiki, though, he gets the frag on JMQA. Nice pre-fire. That Molotov could be perfect, actually, if he gets the guy on boost. Down goes Balbina. Shiki gets the 3rd, he gets the defuse in. Huge, huge play from Shiki right at the death. And it is another 16-14 Endpoint victory on Inferno.